What is up, my Redstone Riders? My name is MiniMinecraftMaster or Christian, and welcome to another building challenge. Now in today's video, as you can see, I have the entire alphabet laid out beneath me, and the render distance is only 4, so pardon me if you have a hard time seeing it all right now. But I have this all set out in this little pattern here. These are obviously all going to stand for something different, as you may or may not have been able to guess. So why not start with A. So A is actually going to stand for amethyst. Now what I'm basically going to be doing is obviously making these all look like what they're going to be. So I'm going to start by setting this one to tough. And a little difficult, just I forgot to do a little bit more of a replace command because that makes a little bit more sense. And there we go. I've now filled the A with amethyst blocks, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up these edges with some of this calcite to really mimic that, the way a geode looks in Minecraft. Alright, so I have that done. I also grabbed myself some crystals that I'd like to place on this. Now to really decide where I want to put those, I just replaced this amethyst with mostly amethyst, but then having some budding amethyst, which I'm going to be starting to place some of these large crystals, these small crystals, and some of these medium crystals as well, to really give it this nice general sense of it just being a geode. And with that, I think I can say that A is done. For B, we have Bastion Remnant, or just simply Bastion. Now, if I'm not mistaken, most bastions are usually found in basalt biomes, so I figured I'd start by making this area all basalt. And of course, at the bottom of a lot of bastions, you'll see just straight up lava, so I figured I'd set the fill to be that. Now I'm going to select all of that area of this black stone that I have placed over top of it. I'm just gonna create a stack of maybe, let's do just 9, so it's a total of 10 up. I think that's a pretty good height. Now you normally see that these bastions have this rough, it's usually the roof, the walls are quite smooth, but you'll see that they have these rough roofs, and I decided to recreate that by using just, the rotor to create this shape. And of course this is actually 2 layers of a roof because that's kind of usually how these work as well. And of course I have this little loot area with the gold and this chest because I thought it was a little bit more detail. And then I do have the basalt parkour that you have out here as well. But with that, I think the letter B is done. So it's Minecraft, as we all know, C absolutely has to stand for caves. So I'm going to start by replacing this white concrete with some stone. And then to deepen this a little bit, I'm just going to stack this maybe 2 times real quick just to give it some more depth. Now I made the mistake of not actually editing the super flat world, so I don't really have that much depth in these builds, but it should be fine. I've started by giving it a little bit more variation in depth coming down this way, and of course I think it's nice if I were to add some ores into these walls to give it a little bit more feel that's an actual Minecraft cave instead of just some chunk of stone. And just for some feel that maybe a player's been here before and just hasn't mined these or something like that, I'm going to place some torches just to give it, just a little more depth, a little more story to it, so it's not just more stone with some ores in it, really. But honestly, I think that's going to be it for C. Next up is D, which I've decided would stand for Deep Dark. Now, Deep Dark doesn't necessarily imply an ancient city, otherwise I probably would have just done it for A, but Deep Dark is obviously just those areas that are covered in skulk and maybe some skulk sensors and triggers. So I'll be placing a shrieker here, which, don't worry, I have all spawns set to false, so this should not spawn a warden anytime soon. And for a little bit more color and variation, I'm going to be having some of these veins throughout the deep slate of the D, just to have that splash of more skulk around it. And I think on some of these edges, I don't actually know where Skulk Catalyst comes from, but I'm just going to have these just because I think they look cool, and they add a little bit more color to the edge of this, make it feel more real, I guess, or maybe not, because if this isn't realistic at all, then maybe it doesn't, but at least it looks cool. And as simple as it is, I think the D is done. Now moving on to E, which is actually going to just straight up be the end, which I think I'm going to start, I don't know how I keep doing that, by doing a little bit of stacking once more. I'm just going to stack 3 times down so it gets straight up to the void. I'm just going to leave that open because it's realistic enough, because the end usually just has straight up void. I've now also added a crystal atop of a obsidian pillar and an end gateway. And after adding a little bit more variation to the terrain, I think our E is actually finished. Next up for F, we have Flower Forest, which I'm going to start by doing a grass block. Now I've set this area under here to be dirt and sand, which is actually going to turn into grass. I completely forgot about that for some reason. And then there's also a little bit of clay, and of course it's all under some water as well. I'm starting to realize this looks more like a regular forest than a flower forest. Plus I don't think either of them really have rivers that go through them, if I'm being completely honest. But you know, just being a regular forest is cool too. It's just with an F, so that's good enough. So I guess I'll say that the F is done. I have decided that G is going to stand for gold mine, which isn't really inherently Minecraft. I want to make it look like it's like some kind of mine shaft or something. Adding a diagonal version of those normal archways you see, a couple of rails around the place here, and a chest in a minecart. I think this one's actually done as well. Now you may not see it yet, but H is actually going to stand for hive or honeycomb, whatever makes you happy. I've used honey blocks, honeycomb blocks, and some actual beehives to create this, or sorry, bees nests to create this giant hive. I honestly don't know why I thought this would look better, but I guess this will do for the H one. Now for all the Jujutsu Kaisen fans out there, we have to use our Yoiki Tenkai.
無料空所
In other words, I stands for Infinite Void, and I think I'm already done with that one. Now for J, I think I wanted to do a jungle, which I've already started to get the grass, a little bit of podzo in here. I think I'm just going to grab some jungle saplings, as well as, of course, a little bit of bamboo. Of course, the jungle tree has to be a 2x2, as they should be. Whoa! That might cover a J a little bit much, but it's okay. We got the bamboo over here. Let me just turn this up a bit, and I think I can call this one done. That's a lot better. I also added some cocoa beans, so I think I can say that J is finally done. Now for K, I think I wanted to do Kingdom, specifically Fallen Kingdom, because that's a big part of Minecraft's history. Now to my recollection, the Fallen Kingdom banner flag design looks something like this. Just for a little bit of added touch, I also added a big version of that same flag up here to have like a pointed tip as well, because I'm pretty sure it looked like that in the music videos. But with that, I think the K is now done. Now for L, I wanted to do something simple, so I figured I would just do a library, because it's probably the only thing I can think of for an L, apart from like maybe lush caves, but I think library is more fitting. I've added a few ladders up here to reach the dollar books, and I'm going to add a lectern as well as an enchanting table, which I think will help complete L. And of course, it's actually going to stand for the mushroom biome, so I figured I'd start by making everything into mushroom and then just filling it with water like it was surrounded by water, like it's some kind of island. No mushroom island is complete without a few mushrooms, of course, so I'm going to have one big red one, one big brown one, and then just a few of each of the little ones thrown around this little area. And I think that's going to do it for M. We are officially halfway through, and honestly, it's looking crazy. I've been recording for already almost an hour now, so this is going to be probably a 2-hour recording, because these last 13 could honestly take another hour or even longer. So I'm going to be really tired after this. I'm so glad I'm recording this a day earlier than I normally would, otherwise I'd have to stay up and edit this. So I'm probably going to edit this tomorrow, guys, don't mind me. Now N is going to stand for Nether Fortress, so I already have this little area here. It's only a little awkward being like basically 2 blocks separated. I could probably thicken it, but also I think it's a lot more fun to go with the basis of what I decided to build for a weird letter font that I've got going on, which in all honesty is a really cool font. It's just not the nicest for building. Just add a little bit more detail because this is going to be relatively flat build. I have decided to carve out this little thing, which still looks like it's part of the letter just fine, so it's not completely horrible. And you know, most Nether fortresses have those areas where you could just walk up to them and it's just a bunch of like, it's like a chunk missing out of it basically. A little bit of extra depth here. I'm just going to add a one side of this wall of bricks as well as it leading up to this incredible blaze spawner that I've placed here. But with that, I think that's going to do it for the end. Next up, O is going to be for Ocean Monument, which is going to be pretty difficult, but at least it's going to be underwater, so that's a great start. I've made this all sand, as well as got this to be filled in with this prismarine brick block, which I'm going to start building pillars off of because that's what they usually have. I'm going to start by essentially just building off of these pillars and making kind of like a, you know, beginning of a pyramid shape, but not obviously like a complete point. And of course, at like the top bits, it has like this kind of like area thing, and it kind of does also have another like more kind of like this, I suppose. It's a little bit more, you know, obviously well defined and better, but I think that's gonna do it for the O. And of course, it doesn't really lose like the O shape, like, it's hard to tell in the water, because it has like this area, and it's almost like if you were to cut out this part and this part, it would still leave this O shape in it. Now I can't really explain why I thought this one would be good, but I wanted P to be Pumpkin Patch. This pumpkin patch is going to have regular pumpkins mostly, but then some carved pumpkins as an homage to the fact that normal pumpkins didn't always exist, and that whenever one spawned, it would just look like this. Of course, I'm going to decorate these with some vines and some sea pickles for a stem. Just add a little bit more variation in color to this naturally flat kind of area. But with that, I think P is done. Now, I was thinking I wanted Q to be Quagmire. No, not that quagmire, as in like a swamp of some kind. I didn't realize how it was going to look out of the water, but here is a mangrove tree just because it is a swamp of some kind, and figured out more variation to just some lily pads around. But with that, I think the Q is done. Now, I wanted R to be redstone just because it's such a classic part of Minecraft. It's been in the game for many years. So I figured I'd make it all red concrete, and I set all this to redstone blocks, so all these lamps would be set. I think I'm gonna just add a couple more, redstone bits around here so it's not so bland, but that's pretty much it. I feel like whenever I think of redstone, I always think of this classic redstone clock, which if you didn't know was actually part of one of the original Minecraft hand guides, and that's where I originally learned to make it, and I thought it would be pretty cool to just have it here. Actually, I probably could have put it there. I'll put another one in here. I give this one a little bit more variation, and also made it counterclockwise. It has a 1, 2, 3, 4 tick pulse. So I don't know why I thought that was creative, but I guess it is. And just for a little bit of extra movement and some fun, I added these 2 pistons that just constantly push this one redstone block back and forth. And I think it's weirdly nice to watch, honestly. I think I could watch this for hours if I wasn't so tired. But with that, I think R is done. Now, next up is going to be Stronghold. Now, like I did with the kingdom over here, or I guess unlike the kingdom over here, I'm not going to be building up these walls. I'm actually going to have like a little bit more of an interior, so I can't really, unfortunately, do the stack command. I'm going to have to manually place all these, kind of, but with a little bit more command work. I think this looks good. I can't really, unfortunately, add like end portal or even like, full library or anything like that, or like a fountain even, but I will add some iron bars here and there. And then I guess maybe like a chest or 2, because those couldn't be fit on the walls. I don't believe it normally looks exactly like this, but for just, space sake, I'm going to do it just like that. And with that, S is complete. Well, I was trying to say grass, but I actually did grass instead of grass block. The tiredness is getting to my head. I knew it was going to happen eventually. Anyways, T is actually going to stand for taiga, which there is technically a difference. Basically, I'm pretty sure the difference is that taiga actually has trees, so I guess it'll actually add more depth. I'll just place a tree here, bone meal them both, and I think that's gonna be T done. Actually, I want to start placing some snow layers on these. They should definitely have snow on them. Now, technically, according to Minecraft physics, if it started snowing, snow wouldn't get on these layers under here, but just in my head, I think they should have them too, so I'm just gonna add them. I also don't think they'd get under these layers. They shouldn't, because I'm pretty sure it's just like, a block here adds snow layer, basically, according to the code, just because it's much simpler, of course, but I have no idea, honestly. And with that, the T is now done. Now, this may come off as a bit of a strange one, but I wanted the U to stand for unfinished build, which sounds interesting, but to anyone that remembers the old tutorial world, it would always have an unfinished build that you have to actually build up before you can continue. So I figured I'd do a little bit of an homage to that. So basically, it's just going to be unfinished oak walls and a door, but you get the point. Although we're going to be fancy because it's going to be a double door, just because it's a 2 block center, and I might as well. Not just to get that, messy, unfinished look. I'm basically just going around and just spamming randomly, so it's either 1 block up or 2, or if you're just that entire area there, you're just 1, but I might have maybe like a 3rd block up, but generally it's just gonna look like this. I'm gonna fill this in with grass because it doesn't really have a floor either, if I'm not mistaken. But there you have it, unfinished build. So the U is now complete. I did it again. I'm gonna actually lose my marbles. Okay, don't worry, I got it this time. Okay, that's grass block. Of course, V is going to stand for village, so why not start with that, lovely grass path. And of course, I'm just going to straight paste an entire villager house in here, which I do believe this is, yep, a blast furnace, which means it's the armorer's house. Either way, I think the V is fine that way. I'm just going to add some bone meal around here to add some more texture, I guess. Even though this isn't exactly what it would look like, obviously I just decided I'd add a little bit of a farm area too, just to add a little bit more, village type thing in there, as well as I have the composter, just because, if there's 2 villagers here, they could both have a job, why not? But with that, even though you kind of have to like really look around it to see it still, the V is complete, although I'm going to do this because that pasted weird, I guess, but the V is not complete. As annoying as this is going to be for me, W stands for woodland wood mansion. I mean, a great way to start this is to make this all dark oak, and then have it, have this more of a cobblestone foundation, because that's essentially what it normally looks like. So I think it's gonna look like that here too. And after a little bit of detailing to the roof, this is, I'd like to say, a finished build. Actually, I could probably add some windows to the side. And this area in particular, it kind of just goes through just because I have the window on either side, but even though that's not accurate, I think it looks kind of cool. And with that, I think this is done, which is pretty sick because it's a woodland mansion, or it's just a mansion. But let's not put away that framed glass just yet because we're moving on to X. Now, I didn't know what else to do for X except for X-ray, just because, it's a thing in Minecraft. Either it's a glitch, or you have a texture pack, or you're hacking, but you're probably X-raying somehow. And after adding a few ores, you can really see that X-ray effect kind of come through, especially with this framed glass, which I understand if I had a texture pack that would actually just do that with regular glass, it would work too, but it's nice to have it anyways. But with that, whatever angle you look at it, Hex is done. Y stands for yellow. Yeah, I got nothing. I kid you not, yellow was all I could think of for this. I really had 0 ideas. I asked chat. Chat gave me literally 6 ideas. None of them even made sense. It was just basically giving me weird mythologies. I didn't know what to do with that, and one of the options was just yellow. Literally just yellow. I was like, alright, that's all I got. So as illegible as it is, I guess Y is done. I suppose I can make it a little bit more legible by just doing something like that. It'll also have all this yellow and eyesores on the top of it. Now for Z, I wanted to do zombie, which, how am I going to represent zombie with something that can't move, build is supposed to? Well, there you go, there's my zombie, and he won't move unless you push him around or punch him around, but he's technically immobile, so I'm going to count it as a build. There, Zed, I had no ideas for this one either. I was really running out of all the ideas running out as I went through this. Some of these could have been repeats, because this could have been mansion, or that could have just been skulk. Really, some of these could have just gone anywhere, honestly, but these ones were annoying, if anything. I think one of the worst, okay, challenge complete, but now that we're done with it, I think some of the worst ones were honestly Q, Y, and maybe, I guess K, but then I ended up doing the Fallen Kingdom. Was kind of a funny idea, and I thought it was, a really nice touch. Also, just realized jungle has a gray concrete thing. Also, I've never seen Jujutsu Kaisen. Please don't make any Jujutsu Kaisen references in the comments. I'm not gonna understand them. Oh, he just dispawned. Okay, let me spawn him back. He didn't. He's a permanent build, I swear. There you go. Now he's part of the build. All right, all jokes aside, this is a. Oh gosh, first of all, I'm tired because this is. It just feels like such an interesting topic, but it feels so repetitive in a way, even though these are all completely different. I would say I did have fun. I'm gonna ask this right now: if there's anything you would do differently, please write it down in the comments below. Like if you would have made L the Lush Caves, or if you would have made O something else. I don't know. These are the only ideas I ended up having. Also, while you're in the comments, let me know which one was your favorite. I think one of my favorites was the village. I think it just looks cool. And one of the funniest ones is obviously the zombie one, for just points for somehow being okay. Yellow, and of course for nostalgia points, obviously I gotta hand it to the Fallen Kingdom over here. Which I gotta restore or replace this with grass and this with grass too or something. I think I was going to, and then I just completely forgot on both of these somehow. I'm gonna just do that real quick. I suppose so it doesn't blend in with itself, I'm also gonna add a little bit of water to the jungle. And there you go, those are both fixed, I think. I think that's everything. I don't know if I did that with anything else somehow. So I think that's gonna do it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on those post notifications. And I'll hopefully see each and every one of you in the next video. Goodbye.